Welcome to the Feminine Principle podcast, supporting women to let go of the ghosts from their past by exploring the hidden side of their female psyche with shamanic shadow work for women, with your host, Nicola Lucy. Hello ladies, and welcome to this episode of the Feminine Principle podcast, where today we are exploring the seeking of validation. And so validation is woven into our sense of self-worth. It helps us to feel recognized, seen, heard. It helps us to understand that our feelings, our opinions, and our actions actually matter, that they're of value, and that therefore what we say and what we do matters and has value. And when we feel validated, we feel accepted and loved, like we belong, which reinforces our sense of self-worth. However, validation also comes with a shadow side, and this is what we'll be exploring in today's episode. From an early age, we've been conditioned to seek validation outside of the self, so that we could learn what was right and what was wrong, what was good and what was bad, what was acceptable and what was not acceptable. Seeking validation from our primary caregivers so that our basic needs were met, and we received praise, love, and attention. And this pattern of seeking approval continued through childhood and into adolescence and then into adulthood, needing to be recognized, validated, and accepted by those around us in both of our personal and our professional lives, often living our lives by what is acceptable to others and doing what is expected of us. Therefore, this constant need to seek validation outside of ourselves reflects how we consistently and chronically give our power away to others. When we make decisions, for example, in our personal and our professional lives, we may experience self-doubt. And this triggers the unconscious reaction to have these decisions validated by others, because we are questioning whether we're doing the right thing, which is often then followed by all the what-ifs and the running around in circles. When it comes to honouring our needs and respecting our boundaries, we often ignore them, putting them and ultimately ourselves at the bottom of the list as we believe our needs and boundaries are not important. And if we do choose to honour and respect them, we need them to be validated before we can even consider them. When it comes to our emotions, we've never been given permission to feel how we feel, and so we are constantly and unconsciously navigating our emotional territory, needing to validate how we are feeling to ourselves and others like we're doing something wrong or unacceptable. And we often feel we need to validate our behavior so that we can be seen in the right light, completely disregarding and ignoring whether our behavior and our actions were valid in the first place. And how many times do we find ourselves needing to validate making time for ourselves, for our self-care, for relaxation and restoration, for healing and for pleasure? And so fundamentally, seeking validation is exhausting, as it uses energy and vitality that we could be using towards manifesting our potential. And it keeps us disconnected from our deep sense of self and from our power, and from being present and grounded in the moment and in the body. And so my journey with validation always arises when I need to spend money on myself. And so I'm sure that this is something that you can resonate with. Because in the past, there has always been something else that was more important than my needs. And I used to put everybody else's needs and everything else before my own. And so spending money on myself was never really an option. And every time I wanted to buy something, I would need it validated by those people around me. Was I doing the right thing? Could we afford it? Maybe I should put the money here or there. And it would go round and round and round in circles. But over the years, this has got easier because I've learned how to put my own needs first. I've learned how to respect my dreams and my desires. However, this came up again when I wanted to invest in myself and my business. I wanted to move forward in a much more healthy and balanced way by working with a business mentor, a business strategist who could help me take my business to the next level. However, I've never invested in myself or my business on this scale before, and so the decision really unnerved me. And what I found myself doing was asking everybody around me in my support network to validate making this investment. I was asking their advice. Should I do this? Should I do that? What if this happens? What if that happens? And I was dancing around the decision over and over again because it felt so traumatic for me to actually invest in myself. And so I went in and I did the shadow work around this, and I revealed a deep-seated belief that I'm not worthy of such an investment. It's okay for me to ask others to invest in me, to work with me one-to-one, because I know my program and the transformation it brings to those who work with me is worth every single penny. But when it comes to investing in myself and my potential, it's a no-go area. And this is why I seek validation outside of myself, because I'm not able to validate investing in myself. And this was so sad for me to recognize. It actually broke my heart wide open, because I didn't think I was worthy to invest in. And therefore, bringing it out of my shadow and into the cold light of day released all of that trapped unconscious energy. Because now that this understanding, this deep-seated belief was in my conscious awareness, it was enough to help me recognize my needs are valid. My dreams, my desires, and my potential are valid. And feeling the power of those words enabled me to make a different choice moving forward. And so how do we change this seeking outside of the self for validation? Because seeking validation outside of the self is so deeply embedded into our psyche. And therefore we need to catch ourselves when we are seeking validation outside of the self. We need to catch ourselves when we are projecting our need for validation onto somebody else because we don't feel confident in what we're experiencing in that moment. And so again, attention and awareness is absolutely key if we are going to change this deep-seated pattern within the self. Without our attention and our awareness and catching those subtle yet powerful moments of how we function in our thought processes, nothing is going to change. But we have to recognize those triggers as and when they arise. We also need to recognize how every single emotion, every fear is valid. Every single emotion and fear has a place in our experience in the understanding of ourselves and the relationship we have with others and the world around us. Recognizing how our wounding, our trauma, and our conditioning and the patterns we have unconsciously created as a result are valid. They happened to us. They changed us and they disconnected us from our true and authentic nature. And therefore, we also have the power to reclaim and remember them moving forward, and that our power is equally valid. Recognizing also that our experience in any given moment is our own, and we don't need anybody else to validate it. And if we are seeking validation for what we are experiencing, it's coming from an old wound and not from the heart of our power. And so, ladies, let me ask you, who do you constantly seek validation from? Why? Why do you seek validation from this person? What do you expect to receive in return? What areas of your life do you seek validation externally? And what does this reveal to you about yourself? Are you ready to break free from the ghosts of your past, to live with more freedom and a clear sense of purpose and inner confidence? If so, book a chat with me to explore the potent magic of one-to-one shadow walking sessions at thefeminineprinciple.com.